It's 2 in the morning, and there is a perfectly good dog bed sitting empty in the corner of your room. You bought it, it was expensive, it has memory foam, and yet here they are, turning 3 slow circles on your mattress, dropping their full weight against the back of your legs, and claiming a territory roughly the size of a small country. Most owners file this under "he's just being clingy," or warmth, or habit. But when researchers actually measured what happens in a dog's brain and bloodstream at night, they found something none of those explanations can account for. The spot your dog picks to sleep is not a comfort decision, it's a security decision, and it's the single most honest review your dog will ever give you. Here's what the science actually shows, including one finding that most owners genuinely will not like. So let's start with warmth. Because honestly, that's where everyone goes first. And I get it. It sounds completely reasonable. Dogs get cold. You are warm. Case closed, right? Well, look around your house for a second. Your dog has access to a sunny patch by the window, a radiator, a couch with 4 cushions, a pile of your laundry that is, objectively, the warmest object in the building. If heat were the goal, your dog has options, better options, options that don't involve being kicked at 3 a.m. So why walk past all of them? Now think about what sleep actually is. Sleep is the most defenseless state any animal can enter. Every instinct your dog inherited, from thousands of years of being both predator and prey, should be telling them to find somewhere tucked away, enclosed, and hidden before they lose consciousness. Instead, your dog walks past every quiet corner in your home and deliberately lies down next to a primate 15 times their size. That is not thermoregulation. That's a statement. And to understand what kind of statement, we need to take a little detour, back to 1998, to a lab in Budapest. There's a famous procedure in developmental psychology called the strange situation test. Mary Ainsworth designed it in the 1960s to measure attachment in human infants, babies too young to tell you how they feel. You bring a baby into an unfamiliar room, the caregiver leaves, a stranger enters, the caregiver returns, and you watch. The pattern of who the baby seeks and how they settle tells you the shape of the bond. In 1998, a team led by Josef Topal did something that sounds almost like a joke. They ran the infant test on 51 dogs. It wasn't a joke. The dogs produced the pattern. Picture what that actually looked like in the room. The dog comes in with their owner and, with the owner sitting there, starts investigating, sniffing the corners, checking the stranger out, moving around like the room is theirs. Then the owner steps out, and the dog's world narrows. The exploring stops. They go to the door. The stranger is right there, perfectly friendly, offering attention, and it doesn't land because the stranger is not the point. Then the owner comes back, and the dog resets. Contact, then calm, then back to exploring the room they'd abandoned 2 minutes earlier. That sequence, explore when they're here, collapse when they're gone, reboot when they return, is not a description of a pet who likes someone. That is the textbook signature of an attachment bond, the same one Ainsworth documented in human babies. They explored the room more freely when their owner was present. They sought contact with their owner after separation, not with the stranger. They calmed on reunion. Behaviorally, the dogs weren't doing something like infant attachment. They were doing infant attachment, which reframes the whole bed question. Your dog is not choosing a warm object. Your dog is doing what an infant does with a parent, closing distance during the hours when they're most vulnerable, because proximity to you is what makes the vulnerability survivable. The bed isn't furniture to them. It's the safest coordinate in their known world, okay? But attachment describes the behavior. It doesn't explain why it feels like something. So for that, let's talk chemistry. And this is honestly my favorite part, because this is where it stops being one-directional. In 2015, a team at Oxytocin University published a study in Science that changed how we think about this bond. They measured oxytocin, the hormone behind mother-infant bonding, in dogs and their owners during ordinary interaction. Here's what they found. When a dog gazes at their owner, the owner's oxytocin rises. That rise makes the owner touch and talk to the dog more, and that attention raises the dog's oxytocin, which makes the dog gaze more. A loop. Each side chemically rewarding the other, around and around. And the control condition is the part that should stop you cold. They ran the same test with hand-raised wolves. Same species family. Raised by humans. The loop didn't happen. Sit with that for a second. Because it's easy to skate past. These weren't wild wolves dragged in from a forest. They were raised by people, from puppies, by humans who fed them and handled them every day. Everything you'd assume matters, familiarity, care, upbringing, was held constant, and the circuit still didn't fire. Which means what your dog is doing isn't learned tameness. It isn't gratitude for the food. Somewhere along the road from wolf to dog, our two species built a chemical handshake into each other, and the wolves didn't get a copy. This isn't animals-like affection. This is a neurochemical circuit that appears to have co-evolved specifically between our two species, one that wolves, our dog's own ancestors, do not share with us. So when your dog settles against your leg at night, both of you are quietly dosing each other. That warm, slightly ridiculous feeling you get when they sigh and go heavy, that's measurable. It's happening in both bloodstreams at once. Now look, I want to be straight with you about something, because this is the finding most channels quietly skip. It's a little inconvenient. At the Mayo Clinic, researchers put accelerometers on 40 healthy adults and on their dogs, and tracked 7 nights of real sleep in real bedrooms. Not a survey, not what people remembered in the morning. Movement data every night from both species. The good news first. On average, people sleeping with a dog in the bedroom kept their sleep efficiency above 80%. That's solid sleep. The dog in the room is not wrecking you. But then they split the data by where the dog actually was. And sleep efficiency was measurably lower when the dog was on the bed compared to just in the room. That difference held up statistically. P equals 0.003. So let's be honest about what that means. Your dog on the mattress is costing you a little sleep. Not a catastrophe, but it's real. It's measured. And anyone who tells you co-sleeping with a dog is free is not reading the data. Which leaves you with an actual trade, not a myth. The dog on the bed is trading you a small, quantifiable amount of sleep quality for something the same body of research says is also real. Lower stress, a sense of security, and that oxytocin loop running all night at close range. You're allowed to take that trade. Most owners do, knowingly, and they're not wrong to. Just take it with your eyes open. And if you're someone who already sleeps badly, the data gives you a middle option that costs you nothing emotionally. Dog in the room, dog off the mattress. Your dog still gets proximity. You get your 80% back. So, back to 2 in the morning. The expensive memory foam bed in the corner isn't being rejected. It's being outcompeted by a system 15,000 years in the making. An attachment bond that reads, behaviorally, like the one between a parent and a child. A chemical loop that not even wolves can run with us. And an instinct that says the safest place to be unconscious is next to you. Your dog has assessed every option in that house, every night, and keeps arriving at the same conclusion. Of everything in their world, you are the thing worth being defenseless next to. That dog bed was never the competition. If this changed how you look at your dog tonight, subscribe. And tell me in the comments, where does your dog sleep? And did you win that argument, or did they? I read these. And if you want the next piece of this, there's a reason your dog stares at you while you eat, and it has almost nothing to do with the food. The studies on that are stranger than this one. That's the next video.